In the Middle East, old conflicts collide with new realities. Uranium traces reportedly emerge at a Syrian site once bombed by Israel. al-Sharaa says indicated they had no information. Lebanon and Syria reopened dialogue on borders and the missing. A tanker departs Tartus, marking Syria's first oil export in years. From nuclear doubts to fragile recovery, Syria stands at a crossroads. The United Nations nuclear watchdog claims that it has detected traces of uranium in Syria during its renewed investigation into a site Israel destroyed in 2007. The International Atomic Energy Agency, in a report to member states seen by Reuters, confirmed that environmental samples collected last year revealed particles of natural uranium that had undergone chemical processing. The site in question is located in Deir al-Zor, where Israeli jets demolished a large structure 18 years ago. At the time, Syrian authorities maintained it was part of a conventional military installation. In 2011, however, the IAEA concluded the building was very likely an undeclared nuclear reactor that Damascus should have disclosed. According to the new report, the samples were taken at 3 locations believed to be functionally linked to the Deir al-Zor site. Traces of uranium were found at one of them, though the material was not enriched, and the report stopped short of determining its intended use. Current Syrian authorities, led by interim President Ahmed al-Sharaa, told the agency they had no information to explain the findings.
The current Syrian authorities indicated that they had no information that might explain the presence of such uranium particles. Once this process has been completed and the results evaluated, there will be an opportunity to clarify and resolve the outstanding safeguards issues related to Syria's past nuclear activities and to bring the matter to a close.
In June, the government granted inspectors renewed access to one of the locations and pledged cooperation in clarifying past nuclear activities. During a meeting in Damascus, IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi secured an agreement for continued transparency, including a possible return visit to Deir al-Zor to conduct further analysis, review documentation, and interview individuals connected to earlier projects. The watchdog said it would evaluate additional environmental samples before moving toward a resolution. It noted that only once the assessments are complete will it be possible to close outstanding questions surrounding Syria's nuclear record. The findings highlight ongoing concerns about the region's nuclear oversight and underscore the IAEA's efforts to verify past activities in Syria. Lebanon and Syria have agreed to form joint committees to address long-standing disputes over border control and missing persons. The decision followed talks in Beirut on September 1st between a Syrian delegation led by Mohammed Taha al-Ahmad, Director of Arab Affairs at Syria's Foreign Ministry, and Lebanon's Deputy Prime Minister Tariq Mitri. Lebanon's national news agency reported that discussions centered on building trust and resolving shared challenges. The committees will examine the fate of Syrians detained in Lebanon and Lebanese nationals missing in Syria. They will also coordinate efforts to strengthen border security, curb smuggling, and facilitate the return of Syrian refugees. According to Lebanon's General Security Directorate, the country currently hosts more than 2 million Syrians, making it the largest refugee population per capita in the world. UNHCR Deputy High Commissioner Kelly T. Clements said in a meeting with Prime Minister Nawaf Salam that more than 200,000 Syrians have returned home, with another 200,000 expected by year's end. The talks come as Syria's transitional government faces international calls to account for decades of disappearances under the rule of former President Bashar al-Assad. Amnesty International said last week that an estimated 100,000 people went missing during Assad's tenure, many held in secret detention and subjected to abuse. The organization urged Damascus to ensure accountability and to guarantee the independence of the recently established National Commission for the Missing. The commission, created in May by presidential decree, is tasked with investigating the fate of missing and forcibly disappeared persons and maintaining a national database. Human rights groups, however, note that it will function in a humanitarian capacity and is not empowered to pursue prosecutions. Amnesty called on Syria's new leadership under President Ahmed al-Sharaa to align the commission with international standards and ensure that families receive truth, justice, and reparations. Syria has exported its first shipment of crude oil in years, marking a modest step in the country's economic recovery after the lifting of Western sanctions. The state news agency SANA reported that the tanker Nissos Christiana departed from the port of Tartus carrying 600,000 barrels of heavy crude. Officials said domestic demand is currently being met, as refineries in Banias and Homs are operating at full capacity. The country's oil industry had been crippled by more than a decade of conflict and international restrictions. The war, which began with an uprising against former President Bashar al-Assad in 2011, devastated infrastructure and left the economy heavily dependent on imports. Assad's ouster last December and the subsequent removal of sanctions by both the United States and the European Union opened the door to renewed exports and foreign investment. President Ahmed al-Sharaa has since turned to Arab states to aid reconstruction. His government has secured energy sector deals with Saudi companies and signed an $800 million agreement with Dubai-based DP World to develop Tartus port and logistics zones. Syria still faces challenges. Much of its oil and gas reserves lie in the northeast, controlled by the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces. In March, Sharaa and SDF commander Mazloum Abdi agreed to fold the force into state institutions and place those resources under government control. But recent tensions have cast doubt on whether the deal will be implemented as planned by year's end.